check out my book, Autism Feels an Earthling's Guide, available in paperback and Kindle from Amazon worldwide. When it comes to autistic people being diagnosed with ADHD, many barriers still remain in place. But there is a connection, and I'm going to set the record straight. Let's go. Welcome, my stars of Orion. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Orion Kelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. Understanding ADHD in autistic adults. Let's start with the basics. So ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental condition characterized by persistent patterns of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity that can significantly impact your daily life. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of people don't actually realize ADHD and autism can coexist. It's not uncommon for autistic people to also have ADHD. Now, to understand how ADHD manifests in autistic adults, let's first look at the diagnostic symptoms from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. Outline criteria for ADHD includes inattention. This is a difficulty sustaining attention in tasks or play activities. Frequent careless mistakes due to lack of attention to detail. Forgetfulness in daily activities. Next is hyperactivity, an inability to sit still, constant fidgeting, excessive talking, difficulty engaging in quiet activities. And the third one, impulsivity, acting without thinking of the consequences, interrupting others, difficulty waiting for your turn. Yes. Hello ADHD, my old friend. Let's talk about ADHD traits. So ADHD is divided into three main presentations. The predominantly inattentive presentation, the predominantly hyperactive, impulsive presentation, and the combined presentation. Now, here are some practical examples of ADHD traits. A difficulty with sustained attention. So, struggling to stay focused on tasks, especially those that you find repetitive or monotonous. Another ADHD trait, forgetfulness. Do you frequently misplace items? Your keys, your phone, important stuff, documents. Procrastination, another trait. So a difficulty initiating tasks and a tendency to put off important responsibilities. Impulsivity, acting on urges without considering consequences, such as making impulsive purchases. I would never have heard of hide those boxes. Hyperactivity, restlessness, and a constant need to move or fidget, even in situations where it's inappropriate. Time management challenges, another example. Difficulty estimating time accurately, leading to lateness or a sense of time slipping away. I've had that sense my entire life. Another ADHD trait, organization difficulties. So struggling to keep belongings, your living spaces, things important to you, organized. Interrupting others, another one. Difficulty waiting for your turn in conversations, leading to frequent interruptions. As an autistic person, I know this all too well. And sometimes I hate it because if I don't get in there and they change the conversation, I'm out. I'm out of material here. Another trait, an inability to stay quiet. Talking excessively or making noise in situations that require quietness. I think that's my favorite hobby. Making noises when quietness is required. Shifting focus, another trait, easily distracted by external stimuli leading to frequent shifts in attention. Hyperfocus, getting intensely absorbed in a particular activity, sometimes to the exclusion of everything else. Now that's something that autistic people can relate to. This hyper-focus on something we're truly passionate about. There's working memory challenges, forgetting instructions or details of a task shortly after they have given. Often, if you're a parent or carer, your kid will say, "You never taught me how to do this," to which you reply, "I loathe you. I taught you 700 times. Difficulty following instructions. Struggling to follow through with multi-step directions, another ADHD trait. And how about this one? Emotional sensitivity. So quick changes in mood and emotional responses to stimuli. But this ADHD trait might come as a surprise. Risk-taking behavior. So engaging in risky activities without fully assessing potential consequences. Frequent task switching is another key trait. Jumping from one task to another without completing the first. Chronic lateness, another trait. Difficulty managing time effectively, leading to being consistently late. How about this ADHD trait? Difficulty starting and finishing projects. So initiating tasks is challenging, but completing them is as equally challenging. So it's not so much about just completing a task, it's about even starting the tasks. Self-regulation challenges, another ADHD trait. Struggling to control impulses and emotions in various situations. Are you a daydreamer? Another trait. Frequently getting lost in thought. Now that can impact your attention to your immediate environment because you're not present. Difficulty prioritizing tasks, another ADHD trait. Now this can manifest in a struggle to determine which tasks are most important and they need immediate attention. You don't understand how to prioritize important or less important tasks. Variable energy levels. Core ADHD trait. Experiencing fluctuations in energy levels throughout the day, leading to periods of hyperactivity and fatigue. Let's talk about executive functioning challenges. All right, so we're talking about challenges in planning, organizing, initiating tasks due to difficulties with executive function. Clear ADHD trait, but also a clear challenge for autistic people. Another trait, problems with follow-through. So there's this difficulty completing projects, assignments, whatever it may be, due to a lack of persistence. You simply lack the, I want to follow through, I want to complete this, I'm on to the next thing. Another trait, decision-making challenges. So a difficulty in making decisions, especially when you're faced with multiple options. Another ADHD trait, social impulsivity. So this is a difficulty reading social cues leading to impulsive or inappropriate social behavior. Social behavior. Inappropriate is my middle name. Difficulty transitioning. Another ADHD trait. So struggling with transitions between tasks or activities resulting in resistance to change. How about forgetfulness in conversations? How about forgetfulness in anything? Frequently forgetting details of ongoing conversations, maybe losing track of the topic altogether. How many times I've been in a rant, I've started to say something, I've completely forgotten the point of why I started to say it. Yeah, people love talking to me. Another ADHD trait, inconsistent task performance. So demonstrating significant variations in performance on the same task or activity. It's depending on the factors. What factors are Orion? Motivation, interest, care factor. Do you experience that? This is so resonating with me. A variation in your performance on the same task or activity just because of the day of the week. Oh, I can feel that deeply. ADHD and autism. So when ADHD coexists with autism, the presentation can be unique and may vary from how ADHD appears in neurotypical people. But don't worry, because here are some practical examples of how ADHD may present differently in autistic people. Let's talk about selective attention. This is a hyper-focus on specific topics or activities of intense interest, while struggling to pay attention to less stimulating tasks. Another example, sensory-driven distractions. So being easily distracted by sensory stimuli like sounds, lights, textures, which may not typically distract neurotypical people. But how about this one? Rigid thinking patterns. Difficulty adapting to changes in our routine or unexpected transitions, leading to increased stress and anxiety. For me personally, a great example recently is really strong winds. Big storms, very windy days, hail, thunder, lightning. I just wanted it to go away. Narrow interests with intense focus, another example. So engaging in repetitive behaviors or fixating on specific interests with great intensity. Social impulsivity in the context of autism. So we're talking impulsive social interactions driven by a lack of understanding of the social nuances, which then lead to unintentional social awkwardness. Difficulty with non-verbal communication, another example. So challenges in interpreting non-verbal cues such as body language and facial expressions, which can affect social interactions. How about difficulty initiating or sustaining conversations? So struggling with the social aspects of communication, including initiating conversations and maintaining them. Another autistic way, ADHD can manifest a hyperactivity in a unique context. Okay, so engaging in repetitive or what some might say are like stimming movements that may appear hyperactive in the context of autism. How many people, by the way, is it just me? Sometimes I stim so hyperactively. People think I'm in trouble. I think this is feeling good. Another example, executive function challenges intertwined with autistic traits. Okay, so a difficulty with executive functions like planning and organizing, further compounded though by our challenges being autistic. So the executive function challenges are different, but they are compounded by the challenges on each side. And these are the birds, I'm not sure. Intense sensory seeking, another example. So we're seeking sensory input, stimming behaviors, whatever it is, to regulate our attention and our arousal levels. This is a big one. But how about this example? Literal thinking. So taking language literally, which leads to misunderstandings or misinterpretations. Remember, we're talking about how ADHD can look through an autistic brain. Another example, difficulty switching tasks. So struggling with transitioning between activities due to a preference for routine or predictability. And this one, my old favorite, echolalia, scripted communication, repeating words or phrases from movies, TV shows, books, whatever source of communication, whatever form it came from, repeating it. A difficulty with time perception. So we're talking about a limited understanding of the concept of time, leading to challenges in managing schedules and deadlines. Another example, selective memory. Okay, so remembering detailed information about specific interests while forgetting routine tasks or instructions. People think this is selective in a malicious way. It just isn't. So forgetting everything you've told me to do, but not forgetting the things that I needed to do is in no way a malicious act. It's part of being autistic. Inconsistent attention to detail. Another example. So we're hyper-focusing on certain details, certain things, while overlooking others. What happens? Well, it's going to impact our overall task performance because we're so focused on this, we completely forget about this. Let's talk about sensory overload and shutdowns. So experiencing sensory overload that leads to shutdowns, burnout, meltdowns, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to affect our attention and our focus. Another manifestation of ADHD for autistic people, task-specific executive function challenges. So excelling in certain tasks that align with specific interests, but struggling with tasks outside those interests. But this one might sound a little out there. A difficulty generalizing skills, A difficulty applying learned skills or behaviors in different contexts. So taking a skill you've learned to do a specific thing and using it in more general terms on other things that your mind thinks, no, it's not made for this. Unique coping mechanisms, Another example. So we're developing specific coping mechanisms like creating routines, structure, relying on sensory stuff, whether it's sensory tools, other forms of regulation, alone time, stimming, to manage ADHD symptoms within the context of being an autistic person. To learn more about other conditions experienced by autistic people, check out my playlist, Co-Occurring Conditions.